Hello, everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. For everyone else, welcome back. I thought since we are just over halfway through the year, I would pull up one of the mid year freak out tags and share some of the books that were very notable on my list of books that I've read so far this year, along with some books that I'm looking forward to. So, first up, we have Best Book of the Year so far. For this one, currently I have tied. Um, and one of them I don't think is going to be a shock to many people because so many people loved this one, and that is Andy Weir's Project Hail Mary. This one has been on list after list that I've seen for 2026 of everyone's favorite. So I feel that this is a little bit of a low hanging fruit. But in this one, we have our main character, Rylan, has woken up with amnesia and he is out in space. All of his crewmates are dead, and his job is to save the Earth. So I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 5 stars. The audio for this was fantastic. And the other one I have is Shield of Sparrows by Devaney Perry. This one was was one of the probably smut books. I tabbed it all up, and if you listened to my May, May wrap up, you know that I regretted not getting the matching sequel to this, and I'm pretty sure it's too late even now. I haven't seen probably Smut post any imperfect copies or anything like that as of yet. So, really enjoyed this one. In this one, we have our main character, Odessa. She has been married off to a prince of the of a local kingdom and is taken to this other kingdom, and it's her job to figure out where this kingdom's new secret capital is and to get into this capital so that she can send word to her father over who um for him to be able to get in to this city and get some treasured potion or something that is supposed to end all of the troubles that the world is facing. Like I said, I really enjoyed this one. I can't wait to get my hands on the next one, which is Rights of the Starling. That's on my plan to read later this month. All right, so up next is a book that's the best sequel I've read so far this year. This one is a little bit trickier for me because I haven't read a lot of sequels this year, but I am planning on for the month of July. There were a lot of series that had released that I didn't realize the next book was out. And so that's been my July TBR. You can go back and check that one out. But for me, the best sequel I've read so far this year is the sequel to Phantasma by Kylie Smith, and that one is Enchantra. It is a gorgeous purple cover, very much similar to this one. Overall, it's just purple. Um, and in that one, we have Guinevere, and she goes off to find her mother's friend, in hopes that he was a necromancer, like her mother was, and could maybe understand a little bit better of why she was ignored while her sister was the treasured one. Um, but she ends up, Genevieve ends up in a game again, similar to Phantasma, except this one is at the Enchantra property and she gets stuck. A lot of fun. Again, just like with Phantasma, the audiobook was the what really brought so much enjoyment to that one. But speaking of other sequels, new releases that I'm looking forward to, if you look at my July TBR, you will have a whole list of books that I am really excited to um, read, and almost all of them are new releases. But one that I am really looking forward to um, is Light Wielder. That's the second book to Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. It's the Fire and Metal series. In Metal Slinger, we had Bryn, who has spent her whole life on uh, an island and now has been married off, um, and is trying to understand some events that happened while she was on land with her fellow soldiers. There's a whole bunch of twists and turns in this one, and she puts her trust in this stranger to find out who she really is. And then Light Wielder is going to continue this story. So I'm really excited for Light Wielder, and um, along with many of the books that I have on my July TBR. Two of the books that are on my July TBR I put as most anticipated new releases. One of them is Prince of Swords, which, if I can get the book, oops, is the sequel to Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. In this one, we had a world where only certain people were allowed to practice their magic of being able to draw tarot cards. If you were not one of these select people and it was found that you had the ability and you were doing so, that there were severe consequences. And our main character Clara has um, this ability, and she's actually in jail for using the ability. And then Kalis, who runs the Arcana Academy, ends up bringing her into Arcana Academy and rescuing her from jail. At the end of the book, we have a huge twist, and it kind of broke my heart there for a moment. The second book, which is Prince of Swords, comes out on July 21st, so I don't have very long to wait on this one. But my other anticipated release, I don't have an exact date for when it's going to be released. And that one is Embers Bloom Beneath a Phoenix Sky, which is the sequel to The Forest Where the Phoenix Sleeps by Brooke Marley Jones. Um, this one I just finished rereading, and I was gonna go jump straight into a standalone in the same world, but I couldn't get my head into different characters at the moment. So I've put that one on hold and eagerly awaiting for Amber's Bloom, which is going to come out sometime during the fall of 2026. Up next is a category that I don't normally or wouldn't normally do, and that's biggest disappointment. All right, so the first biggest disappointment of a book to me was The Library Cat is Actually a Prince, and this one's by Fiona Forte. This is a novella, and I really think that's why it didn't hit home for me. And with novellas, there's normally a lot of world building that is kind of pulled out that I really would enjoy. This one called to me and interested me because it was a librarian is assigned to a new library and it comes with a library cat. And through all of that's going on in this magical library, I was really hoping for a lot more of Sorcery of Thorns vibes that were in the library. Um, but this one just didn't quite hit it for me. The idea of the story was cute. And I was, like I said, I was really excited for this one. There were just a few things that just didn't work well for me. The main being that it was a novella. The other one that I was disappointed in was Until the Clock Strikes Midnight by Alicia Dow. This one I was again so excited to read. The idea of the book sounded really cute. We had a Cinderella character, and she has been assigned a fortune and a misfortune who are they're both competing to um, get a certain mentor or mentee role, and the parts like the magic in it and them kind of battling against each other and then um becoming an enemies to lovers, all of that was all there and working well for the book. The thing that I am finding though is this one was a YA, and a lot of YAs are geared at a younger audience. And this one really was that geared toward the younger audience. So while I would give it to just about any teenager and I think they would enjoy it, it just wasn't hitting home for me um, due to the fact that it was written for that younger audience. So, now that we've gotten the disappointment out of the way, I want to turn to the biggest surprise. This one was a book recommended to me by a friend at church, and I kind of, at first, I kept pushing it off instead of reading it because of the author. This one was um, written by Anne Bronte, and I read Jane Eyre in high school. I did not like Emily Bronte's story, and Wuthering Heights by Charlotte Bronte just didn't really appeal to me, and so I wrote Anne off as well. Um, and I am so glad that I did eventually stop and read The Tenet of Wildfell Hall. In this one, we have our main character. She is running, or she's become the tenant of this hall, and we find out that she's running from her past. very hard-hitting novel, very really probably considered edgy for the time that it's doing. It has separation, it has abuse, it has all these things that we don't always think of as being in classics. Um, having some of these grittier, dark themes in it really surprised me and made it a book that I really, really enjoyed. I will say um, the first part of it, try to, get through because Gilbert's tale is not quite as hard hitting, but he does become a very loved character by the end. So if you try the Tenant of Wildfell Hall out, just know going in, it might be a little hard at first. Try to persevere, and you'll come to this amazing tale in the end. So now we come to a favorite new author. Um, and this one I had heard about on um, BookTube and hearing other bookish people talking about, and picked it up because someone gave it 5 stars and really, really loved it. It knocked my socks off. And that is Tiffany Crumb's This Story Might Save Your Life. This one is a suspense thriller. We have Benny, who goes to his podcast partner's house one morning, and her window is broken. She and her husband are missing, and Benny quickly becomes the prime suspect in this. But not only do we have Benny's story going from when Joy goes missing, we also have Joy's memoir talking from or beginning with when she and Benny met and going forward. And so by the end, when these two stories match up, you are fully invested in the characters. I could not put this one down. I had a great time with this one, and definitely um, am excited to see what else Tiffany Crumb is going to come out with in the future. This brings us to the newest favorite character, and I'm not quite sure if this is going to be a surprise for those who have read this book, um, or a surprise if you know me at all. But my new favorite character is a cat in the book Lights Out by Nevessa Allen. Fred the cat. I absolutely love him. He is a character in and of himself, even though he doesn't speak a word in the book. Lots of meows, but very cute character. In this one, we have Allie, who finds a Instagram a masked man that she follows on Instagram, and turns out that um his, her ex-boyfriend's friend is this masked man and that she doesn't know about. So they pair up and live out their darkest fantasies in this, and especially the banter that we see between Josh and Fred the cat is amazing. I love the way that Josh, who's never owned an animal, uh, just interacts with Fred, and they definitely make this book amazing. I've read Caught Up, didn't enjoy it as much. And I know that's because the banter with Fred was missing. All right, so the next book is a book that made you cry. This one, the book that made me cry the hardest so far this year has been Just Once by Karen Kingsbury. This one made me cry because of watching the characters walk through an Alzheimer's diagnosis. We have our main character. She was a World War II spy, did all of these amazing things that no one knew about until her videos that she made when she found that she had Alzheimer's um, were discovered later on in her life. And this was just such an amazing story. I love historical fiction, especially when it pulls on the heartstrings and even brings it to through to modern day. This one just Karen Kingsbury really knows how to write characters that will rip your heart out. But not only do we have the book that made me cry, but we also have one that made me happy. And that one I picked Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. This one is a fun book about Emmy, who she's a barrel racer and has an accident and has a hard time getting back on her horse afterward. So she comes home, and her brother's best friend helps her to overcome her fears and to be able to get back on her horse and um, ride again. And the romance in this was just very sweet, and I really enjoyed it. I had a great time with Done and Dusted by Layla Sage, and am excited to check out the next book. So, the last one that's just a book is The Most Beautiful Book that you've bought this year or received this year. And so far, that has been Ballad of Falling Dragons. This one, not only does it have this, we have a gorgeous dragon art on the front, along with on the back, but the edges are sprayed, matching in the artwork that's there. And then my favorite part is the inside pages. I just really enjoyed, or have enjoyed looking at this one, and am excited to finally read it when I get there. But first, I have to reread the um, first book in this one, When the Moon Hatched, um, because it's been a while since I read that one. As far as books to read by the end of the year, which is the last prompt in this, I would say really go and look through my July TBR, because all of those are books that I'm wanting to read. Along with, there are a few others that I have. Um, the first is the second book to Quicksilver, which is Brimstone. And I believe the third book is coming out later this year. So I would be able to finish this trilogy. But in Quicksilver, we have Saris Fane. She's been told, um, or she is a secret keeper, and she has. She's been told not to touch the sword not to turn the key, and not to open the gate. And of course, she's going to do all three. Quicksilver, Callie Hart, and Brimstone. I'm looking forward to reading both of those this year. Another one that I'm excited to read this year is The Mists of Memory, which is, I'm trying to pull it up. It's the second book in a series about Sealies. There it is. Sea of Souls by N.C. Scrimgore. This one, in the first one, um, we have Isla Blackwood has never wanted to follow in her family's footsteps, but when tragedy calls her home, she realizes that she must take on the role and protect the Blackwood estate. So this one, I just remembered really enjoying it, and the way it ended, I was so excited to start Mists of Memory and just never got around to it. So I'm going to attempt to reread um, Sea of Souls this year, along with finishing out the rest of that series. As far as stats, since it is the middle of the year, I have read 73 books so far, which is so amazing, especially after last year of only reading 65 while doing schoolwork. So I am definitely happy with this number, even though I chose not to set a reading goal for the 2026 year because I didn't know how I would be feeling coming off of all of the schoolwork I was doing. But I would say that May and June definitely pushed this number a lot higher than I expected. So 73 books have been read, along with or of that, in that, that's 26,846 pages. So I would say I should not have any problem breaking 100 books this year. But we'll have to see how things go in the last half of the year, now that we are at the point where it's time to start gearing up for the school year. But we're going to squeeze out what summer we can until then. I'll see you later. Bye.